Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you're aware, Piper Chelsea Patrick will be coming to the room very shortly. And we are going to be asking that you all find your seats. There's no immediate rush, but you can start making your way to your tables, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that we're lined up for drinks, and I know that we're excited to get the evening started. We will be starting the proceedings here in about 10 minutes, so if you could just please make sure that you make your way to your seats in no more than 10 minutes. That would be great. Thank you. Without much further ado, we'll get started on the evening so that we stay on our timings here, folks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band's 26th annual Burns Dinner and Fundraiser. My name is Steve Essing, and I'm honored to be your Master of Ceremonies for the evening. As you can see, the way I'm dressed, I'm a band member. I'm also an active police officer working for the Sandwich Police Department. Thank you. For those of you that may recognize me, I promise it's not because I pulled you over. And if I have pulled you over, I hope that I was nice. We'll leave it at that. It's wonderful to see so many people here tonight in this room to celebrate the memory of Scotland's most famous bard, Robert Burns. All around the world, similar celebrations are taking place as Burns has become an international favorite for his stirring poetry, lovely songs, and interest in the female form. Your presence here this evening provides support to this band, and it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Let me begin this evening by acknowledging that we are on the site of the permanent winter homes of the WSÁNEĆ people. And for those of you that do not know, WSÁNEĆ stands for saltwater. So it is the saltwater people. We respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we live and work in the traditional territory of the WSÁNEĆ peoples, including the Sarlip, Sycam, Sayot, Pakwachin, and Malahat First Nations. These nations have lived here since time immemorial and continue to maintain deep connections to this land and surrounding waters. We are grateful for the opportunity to gather here and to honor their enduring relationship with this territory. Just a few items of housekeeping. For those of you that do not know where the washrooms are, they're just out past where the buffet tables are. The whiskey tasting station and the bar tickets are available, as I'm sure many of you have found out. I see that several of you are still in line out there. We hope to have you seated very shortly. The long tables at the back of the room, just as you come in the 2 entry doors, are filled with items that are up for bid. So it's a silent auction. I would encourage you to go back and look at those at times throughout the evening. There will be a final announcement later in the evening for when those bids will be cut off. We ask that you abide by that cutoff time. We will have a squad of very large individuals with highlighters that plan to be guarding the table so that nobody can run up and put a late bid in. Without further ado, I'll add one for the thing. If you are wondering of what forms of payment, as it says in the program, we do accept e-transfer, cash, or check. We have an evening of entertainment planned for you, but first, everyone that is able to, I would ask you to please rise for the playing and singing of O Canada by drummer Doug Thorstenson.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Doug. We will be starting our meal service quite shortly. However, the next item on the program is the traditional toast to the haggis. This year, that traditional toast is going to be performed by Piper Angus McPherson, and he will be piped in by pipers Shelley Thorstenson and Kelly Rebel.
Oh, your honest, sonsy face. Great chieftain of the pudding race. Aboon them all, you take your place. Pinch, tripe, or thorn, we'll are you worthy of a grace as lands the air. The cronin trencher, there you fell. Your hurties, like a dusty hill. Your pen would help to mend a mill in time of need, while through your pores the dews distill. Like amber peat, his knife, see rustic labour dight, and cut you up with ready slight, trenching your gushing entrails bright like ony ditch. And then, oh, what a glorious sight, warm, reeking, rich. Then horn for horn they stretch and strive. He'll take the hindmost on they drive, till all their wheel-swallowed kites belive are bent like drums. And all good men miss like drive. You think it hums? Is there that o'er his French ragout, or olio would start a sow, or fricassee would make her the perfect scholar, look down with sneering scornful view on sick of dinner? Poor devil, seen over his trash, is feckless as a withered rash. His spindle shank, a good whiplash, his knave, a nit. Her bloody flood and field to bash, oh, how unfit. Mark the rustic haggis bed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, blackness wally neave a blade, and he'll make it whistle in legs, in arms, and heeds, instead, like taps of thistle. Ye poors who might not kind your care and dish him out their bill of fare, all Scotland wants nae skinking ware that jobs and luggies. But if you wish a grateful prayer, here a haggis. A haggis. Slán goodbye. So.
Thank you, Angus, for that stirring rendition. I don't know how many other people in the audience actually understood what he was saying, but I'm certainly not one of them. I'd ask for you all to stand for the Selkirk race that's going to be delivered by drummer Gord McGee.
This is very short and sweet. Okay. Some hae meat and canna eat, and some would eat that want it. But we hae meat and we can eat. So let the Lord be thanked.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I promise we're going to get into it very, very, very shortly here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue on with our program. Now that the dinner service is concluded, we're going to begin the entertainment part of the evening. Before we do so, I'd like to take an opportunity for everybody to give the caterer a round of applause. That meal was absolutely amazing. So thank you again to all the catering staff. That was an absolutely amazing meal. I'd like everybody to rise, please. Everybody to rise if you can. We're going to ask Drum Major Scott Hennessy to come forward for a toast to the king.
The king.
Thank you, everybody. Please feel free to be seated. We are going to deviate slightly on the program, simply so that we can have a couple of our pipers that are preparing to play be able to get back to warm up and then be ready to go right on time. So rather than proceeding right now with the immortal memory, we're going to ask for Piper Paul Munt to come forward to do a toast to the lasses.
Thanks, Steve. Sorry. Should be. It's my great pleasure to do the toast to the lassies. One thing you know for sure is that Robert Burns loved the lassies, and it is a great honor to be invited to give this toast on behalf of the men present. Gentlemen, let's just be honest here. There's no doubt that the ladies in our lives have made us better people. Women are complex creatures who take pride in directing us lowly men on the proper rules of civilization. There are many things that I have learned thanks to my lovely wife, such as there's no such thing as being late. We are just being fashionable. You are a fashion expert, whether you believe it or not. Does this look okay? You better get it right, or you're in for an evening of dirty looks. Toilet seat instructions, which are never in the operator manual. Finish with, the seat must always be left in the down position. And shopping. Shopping is an experience. It may take all day. In other words, we're going to get our money's worth by staying out all day. But where would we be without them? I have a short poem here I'd like to read. Together we stand here in praise for the women around us and in our days. The loving embrace brings us untold pleasures. These are our lassies, and they are a true treasure. They care for us and keep us well, though occasionally it feels like heaven. They put up with our habits, and we have all sorts, like farting in bed and our preoccupation with sports. Give thanks to the women who throw tantrums and tears, so much healthier to do than bottle up our tensions and fears. Give thanks to the women who understand the little child that lives inside every man. Durable, sensible creatures of grace, to live without them, it would be a much poorer place. They get better with age, just like fine wine. May all of you love them as much as I do mine. Gentlemen, this evening gives us the opportunity to tell the women in our lives how much they mean to us. I'd like to ask the gentlemen in the crowd to rise and join me in a toast to the lassies. To the lassies.
Thanks, Paul. This evening, the reply will be delivered by Paul's lovely wife, Laura.
Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Paul, for the kind words. It is my honor and privilege to reply to the eloquent toast that you have given on behalf of the lassies present. I do admit it gave me great personal pleasure to hear your admission of having learned much of the proper rules of civilization from your wife. Now, scientific studies have shown that men do live much longer if they are married. It's what some refer to as a life sentence. A successful man is one who makes more money than his wife can spend. And a successful woman is one who has found such a man. Communication is essential to a successful union. One of the simple rules of a good relationship is that the woman should always have the last word in an argument. Of course, anything a man says after that last word is the beginning of a new argument. There is an exception, though. The only exception to this rule is if his last word is an apology. Now, we lassies are often attracted to those difficult to tame bad boys, those rogues with the careless manners and the wandering eyes. Robbie Burns was himself a rascal with a silver tongue. He was, however, in his day, considered to be a great admirer and a supporter of women. He apparently held women to be both his social and his intellectual equal. He was humorous and romantic and often honored women in his poetry. A favorite verse of mine is from his 1783 work of Green Grow the Rashes. It goes like this: Old Nature swears the lovely dears her noblest work she classes. Her apprentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lasses. So with all their faults and shortcomings, we lassies still love our lads and would not want a world without them. We've learned to love and nurture that little child that lives in every man. A man's ability to ask for directions, a well-recognized source of conflict, has actually been solved by artificial intelligence. A lad can now simply consult the AI on his GPS, and just like magic, in the male voice of a pal, a buddy, the correct route can just be called out. Nobody's asking. Problem solved. To the world, our lads may appear to be just one person, but to us, that one person is our whole world. Our laddies are like pipers in the mist. They bring music into our hearts. Thank God they exist. So now, lassies, please stand up and raise your glasses to toast those who make life worth living and adventures worth having. To the laddies worldwide, we're proud to have you by our side. To the laddies. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. That was very entertaining. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to draw your attention to our next guest speaker. He's here to deliver the immortal memory. Our guest speaker this evening is retired RCMP Chief Superintendent and piper with the E Division RCMP Pipe Band, Rob Booth. Chief Superintendent Rob Booth retired from the RCMP in 2015 after 35 years of dedicated service. 35 years, that's a long time. During his career, he performed major crime investigations, served in the far north, the Yukon, a two-person post in the Gulf Islands. He was appointed to the executive officer to the RCMP commissioner and served 3 commissioners before being seconded to the Privy Council office. He ended his career as BC's North District Commander. He's a longtime piper and founding member of the RCMP Pipe Band in BC. He is happily married to his wife Joanne for 39 years and is a proud father of 2 grown children and 3 amazing granddaughters. Please join me in welcoming Rod to the stage to deliver the immortal memory.
Thank you very much. I thought I was having a stroke. I didn't smell toast, but I could hear bagpipes when Paul was giving his little dissertation, but I see the bagpipe sounds have stopped, so not a bad thing. So why are we here tonight? Well, today is January 24th, the night before the official date of Burns Night. Burns Night is a celebration of the 18th century poet Robert Burns, also known as Scotland's national bard and the ploughman poet. He was a poet and lyrist who inspired many. Around the world, tonight and tomorrow, you'll see people tucking into neeps and tatties, lashings of haggis and Scotch whiskey, toasts including the toast to the lassies, and singing and reciting Burns' poems like a red, red rose, Old Lang Syne, and an ode to a haggis. You see, January 25th was Burns' birthday, and is celebrated as an unofficial national holiday in Scotland. In celebrating Burns, we are, of course, also celebrating Scotland, or more accurately, what we scattered people of Scottish heritage would like to think of Scotland in those moments when we remember the place as our sentimental homeland. Robert Burns, affectionately known as Robbie Burns, was born in Alloway, Ayrshire on January 25th, 1758. This was some 14 years after the last gasp of the Jacobites, when Bonnie Prince Charlie was defeated and the Highland clans were decimated at Culloden in 1746. As a side note, the great Scottish intellect, Billy Connolly, once pointed out Bonnie Prince Charlie was the only man ever named after 3 sheepdogs: Bonnie, Prince, and Charlie. Burns lived a hard life of poverty. After his father died, Burns became the principal laborer on his family farm. Burns wrote his first poem when he was just 15. It was a song called "Oh, Once I Loved a Bonnie Lass." He wrote it to impress a girl called Melly. Sadly, Burns died at age 37 from rheumatic fever on the 21st of July, 1796. In his short life, he composed a catalog of over 716 works. Today, we celebrate his birth. We don't mark his death. The work of Burns is all about living and life, and it celebrates the common man and woman. Burns aficionados claim he is the world's most popular poet. In point of fact, there are more statues of him throughout the world than any other writer. Now, Burns never left Scotland in his short lifetime, and he never visited Canada. But you'd never know it from all the great man statues dedicated to him across the country from coast to coast. Here in British Columbia, statues can be found in Vancouver's Stanley Park, and right here in Victoria in Beacon Hill Park. They are among the many tributes scattered in places well beyond Scotland's borders. The Scottish Scotsman's newspaper reports that Burns boasts the third most statues of any non-religious figure after Queen Victoria and Christopher Columbus. Burns popularized Old Lang Syne, arguably his best known and most famous poem. For generations, it's been sung worldwide at Hogmanay or New Year because it is simply just perfect for it. It's a poem of reunion, not parting, and all about celebrating happy days gone by and the glorious bonfire in the belly when you come back together. People just have an emotional compass for it. Historically, they gathered outside town halls and sang it, and it drifted like a great, beautiful glacier of song into that New Year position. Many a Scotsman will say, watching the song circle the planet each New Year feels like sending out the Scottish bat signal. Now, Burns had a reputation as a ladies' man, and for some, it was to become a defining characteristic and was greatly exaggerated. One biography I read claimed that he had had 70 illegitimate children. In fact, of the 13 children he was known to have had, 9 were with his faithful, lovely wife, Jean Armour. She not only stuck with him, but inspired some of his greatest love poems. Robert Burns' famous poem, My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose, isn't definitively linked to his wife Jean Armour, though it's a common association. He wrote many poems for her, like I Love My Jean, but Red, Red Rose draws from older Scottish ballads and folk tunes. It expresses profound, enduring love with its imagery reflecting common pastoral themes rather than a specific portrait of Jean. It is undeniable that Burns had a weakness for whiskey and women, but we won't be giving him a hard time about that tonight. He got plenty of it in his lifetime from the kirk, or church, to which he responded with satirist poems like Holy Willie's Prayer, one of Burns' most scathing and certainly his most famous attack on religious hypocrisy. However, Burns represents so much more than naughtiness to Canadians anyway. He's a quotable reminder of the Scots' outsized influence on Canada. While 14% of Canadians claim Scottish heritage, 13 of 22 former Canadian Prime Ministers claim at least some Scottish heritage. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is a Sinclair on his mother's side and an Elliott on his father's side. Sadly, our current Prime Minister's roots harken back to Ireland. The Address to a Haggis is perhaps Burns' second most famous poem. It popularized haggis as a symbolic part of Scottish culture and led the way to haggis becoming Scotland's national dish. A close second is the deep-fried Mars bar. Just joking. Now, the world divides unequally between those who love haggis and those who loathe and fear it. Today is the zenith of the haggis-eating year. Whether this strikes dread or delight into your hearts, it's not up to me to say. Not to be off-putting, but those pink wobbly bits in it were diced sheep lungs. Now, Burns wrote much of his verse in the broadest of Scots, the language of the common people. And his lines often require English subtitles at best, and sometimes wholesale translation. I'm certain that there were a few of you who thought to yourself in hushed tones and squinty eyes during the address to the haggis, what did he say? One of my favorite Burns's poems is that of My Heart is in the Highlands. If you were fortunate, as was I, to see the Barry McNeil's East Coast Christmas concert last December, they performed a wonderful rendition of this Burns poem. My favorite part, the chorus, goes like this. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a-chasing the deer. A-chasing the wild deer and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go. When Burns died, a memorial edition of his works was published to raise money for his family. Burns suppers began in 1801, organized by friends of Robert Burns at his birthplace, Burns Cottage. Thus began the tradition of a supper every January 25th to honor his memory and to pay homage to him. This brings us full circle as to why we are gathered here tonight. Burns suppers are still a common tradition, and the comfortable and predictable format of the supper has not changed since 1801. This year, we celebrate the 267th anniversary of his birthday. That concludes what I have to say tonight. Now carefully follow my instructions. In deference to tradition, I ask you to now kindly rise out of your chairs. Now please raise your glass, and in kindness and in a moment, I want you to drink a toast to the immortal memory of Robert Burns, the people's poet. To Robbie Burns. Now you can please be seated.
So who out there is ready to see the band? I'm just waiting for the signal that they are ready for us. So just mull amongst yourselves for about 5 minutes here while we check on them. Don't forget the 50-50 tickets and the silent auction items. I'm seeing somebody from the band coming there shortly, so we were not far off. starting to see the band line up outside the doors there, so we are getting much closer. If you could make your way back to your seats. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Please join me in welcoming the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to the next stage of our show. It's my honor to introduce the Bonnecourt dancers. It's always a pleasure to see Lynn Griffith's young dancers from her studio come to perform, and this evening is no different. Please welcome them towards the stage. They are going to be accompanied today by James P. Troy as their piper, and please welcome the Bonnecourt dancers. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a double sword dance performed by Emma and Abigail. The next dance we have here this evening is the Scottish National Dance, Blue Bonnets Over the Border, performed by Julia and Aaron. Ladies and gentlemen, the next dance that we have for you is the Royal Scottish Official Board I'll start it again. The Royal Scottish Official Board of Highland Dancing recognizes this next dance as called the Irish jig, but of course it is the Scottish version. Elizabeth and Zoe will show the actions of an angry Irish washerwoman. A traditional Highland dance first performed by groups of men after they were once again allowed to wear their kilts. The King of England had banned kilts for several years. Please welcome Annika and Emily for the Chanteuse. Now we have a Scottish national dance called the Village Maid. One of these dancers is in traditional Highland dress, and the other is in the Aboyne outfit, both donning the lovely tartan called the Yellow Baird. Please welcome Sierra and Elaine. The band's very own Colin McGee composed this tune in 2008 when the Canadian Championships were held for the first time here in Victoria. It was written to honor the great Highland dance teacher, Miss Adeline Duncan. It was for her 90th birthday. Adeline was Lynn's longtime mentor. Grace will perform the Sailor's Hornpipe, the character dance showing movements of a sailor's work on the ship. We'll give her a chance to catch her breath for a quick second. We'd like to please welcome back all these wonderful dancers to the stage for a masked Highland fling. As you're all making your way back to your seats, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Please join me in welcoming Chief Constable Dean Duffy from the Spanish Police Department. He happens to be my boss. I think I mentioned that earlier. But he's also the band president and has been for a number of years serving on our board and has done a fabulous job in that regard as well. So without further ado, I'd like to pass this over to the Chief for the Chief Constable's toast.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's working? Good evening, everybody. Thank you. And wow, I can tell you from this vantage point, you all look magnificent. You look great. As always, it's so good to see so many familiar faces year after year at this really important traditional event. And we welcome those that you're here for the first time to enjoy this and really hopefully make it the first of many to come. It truly represents community for us to gather together, reconnect, share a meal, and enjoy the sweet sounds of the pipes and drums as we celebrate the birthday of Robbie Burns. I'm going to say a couple thank yous right now that I want to pass off before I share a few more words. And that is, I just want to really thank Steve Bessie for stepping up and doing the MC role here for the first time for this event. Steve, you're doing a tremendous job. And I'd like to acknowledge there's many retired police officers in this room and currently serving police officers in this room, as well as keeping in mind we have police officers working in our communities right now, keeping them safe, keeping our friends, families, and loved ones safe. I'd like to recognize them and thank them for their service. Again, my name is Dean Duffy, and I currently serve as the Chief Constable of the Saanich Police Department, and it is my sincere honor to also serve and represent the Greater Victoria Area Police Chiefs and RCMP Commanders as an executive member to the Pipe Band. 2026 marks the 26th anniversary of the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band, and over this time the band has evolved and progressed in many vital areas. Their resilience, coupled with commitment, passion, and dedication to community support and well-being has continued to thrive and makes a true difference as they attend and perform countless events and competition each and every year. The band is comprised of disciplined and talented musicians who come together every single week, hundreds of hours a year, not only to practice and continuously improve their musicianship and fine skills, but they also come together for friendship, camaraderie, and service. Tonight's special event that brings us all together to celebrate, honor, and recognize the immortal talents, poetry, and songs of Scotland's national bard, Robbie Burns, is only made possible through the efforts, time, and commitment of Pipe Major Warren Fells, the band executive, and every single band member, as well as their families. Thank you for your planning, organizing, coordination, and leadership. This vibrant group of musicians brings together serving police officers, retired police officers, family of police officers, and many dedicated service-oriented people from our surrounding communities. In 2025, the band performed 17 special events, including parades, ceremonies, memorials, community events, police reserve, and police camp graduations. I'd like to extend my personal thanks and appreciation to the band executive for their leadership, stewardship, commitment, and inspiration. This includes Pipe Major Warren Fells, Drum Major Colin McGee, Pipe Sergeant David Hennigan, and Piper Charlie Bates. Please thank me, or please join me in thanking them. And I was also told just this very evening today, and I had to add it to my speaking notes here with some pen, but there is a long time serving piper that is retiring from the band after many, many years of dedicated service. Please join me in thanking Piper Dave Martin for his tremendous service and participation in the band. Now, just switching the tone a little bit, it's with great sadness and deep respect that I acknowledge the recent passing of former Pipe Major Jamie Troy. You'll notice on the back of your program a very detailed history of Jamie Troy's musicianship, his dedication to the pipes, to this band, and way beyond the borders of this. Jamie was internationally recognized and a highly respected expert in all aspects of piping and pipe band music. He was the pipe major of the innovative Grade 1 City of Victoria Pipe Band for 30 years and helped found the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band, which he led as a pipe major for a further 23 years. Our heartfelt condolences are with Jamie's wife Louise and family. To commemorate the 25th anniversary of the band, your local police chiefs representing Saanich, Victoria, Central Saanich, Oak Bay, along with the RCMP commanders representing Sydney, North Saanich, West Shore, Soot, and the Island District Headquarters in Victoria. We recently presented the band executive with a token of our thanks and appreciation for outstanding commitment to community service while representing policing in Greater Victoria. Sadly, Jamie was unable to attend that presentation at that time and accept our memento of gratitude. The memento is a collection of police challenge coins from all local police services on a handcrafted wooden holder engraved with the executive member's name and their role. Police challenge coins hold a deep cultural significance within law enforcement. They symbolize honor, loyalty, teamwork, and professional pride. On behalf of all police chiefs and RCMP commanders, I take great honor in presenting James Troy Sr.'s memento to his son and distinguished piper, currently of the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band, James Troy Jr. Tonight, it is appropriate that we have two toasts. Firstly, please join me. If you can stand, please do so at this time. Please join me in the toast to the life, service, and legacy of James Troy Sr. To James Troy. Now, please join me in the toast to all members of the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band. To the band. Thank you very much.
And ladies and gentlemen, for the second time tonight, I give you the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band.
Yeah, just we're switched.
Oh, just switch.
As traditional in Scotland Highland regiments, the end of the evening is signified by a lone piper playing Lights Out. Paul Munt will now play Lights Out.
And never brought to mind, should old acquaintance be God, oh, lang syne, oh, lang syne, my dear, oh, lang syne, we'll drink a cup of kindness yet, oh, lang syne.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking all this evening's outstanding speakers and performers for the warm round of applause. Thank you to all of our volunteers without whom this night would not be possible. Thank you to the caterers and the facility staff as well. Thank you to all of you for supporting our band. And lastly, please ensure that you have a safe ride home. We want to make sure that you guys are able to come back next year. Thanks again, guys. Have a great night.